Okay, hi everyone. I'm very sorry we had like a little technical difficulties. I apologize for that. We are back streaming live with Miguel Torres Maczassek, the 5th generation of Familia Torres. And we were talking a little bit about the history of Familia Torres, a winery that is celebrating 150 years. They are celebrating their 150th anniversary. And Miguel actually was telling us how special the figure of his grandfather, Miguel Torres Carbó, was for him. Just hoping that Miguel can join us again. Here it is, Miguel. Okay. Here we have Miguel. Hi, Miguel.
All right.
I'm very sorry. I had, the things of the life, like las cosas del directo, as we say in Spain. I apologize for that.
No. It's probably, I don't know. It happens with the internet. So, but anyway, I lost a bit the conversation with so Marta.
Yeah, we were talking actually about how important is the figure of your grandfather. You were telling us the great story of how he was going to France and trying to sell the Spanish wines into France, which for sure it wasn't an easy mission.
No, it was very difficult, but he had a great personality, and very soon he could put these Spanish wines into many top restaurants around France, and that was maybe the first time that really Spanish wine was going outside its own boundaries, and then it came, the year also in 1979, there was a competition in France, the Gold Milo Wine Olympics, the Wine Olympics of France, and what happened is that Mas La Plana, which was a Cabernet Sauvignon from Spain, got the first prize, and this was both for my father and my grandfather, like a great way to understand the huge potential of Spanish wines, and that there was the potential to make really great wines that could compete with the best wines of the world. I think that this was a great inspiration for people like us, or for many winemakers that came afterwards. This certainty that we were in a wine paradise here.
And I can imagine that having like these two figures, your grandfather, he was also having like very difficulties when he took over the company, because that was 1939, and if I'm not wrong, the winery was bombed. So he was, as you say, like someone very strong, very hardworking, very special for you, very close to you. And then your father also like producing the Mas La Plana, the wine that you just saw, say that it won the award of the Gold Milo back in 1979 of being the best red wine in the world. But now it's your turn, It's the 5th generation. So can you tell us how it has been your journey, like becoming the general manager of Familia Torres, or the CEO of Familia Torres?
Well, I have to say that I did my studies both, in enology and in business, and I start from the very bottom. I even remember when I was a kid to going to the harvest. I was harvesting Mas La Plana, always discussing with my father, because he did not want to pay me any money, after the work, and say, no, but you're a kid, you don't need to be paid. And I say, come on, I spent here the whole day, harvesting. Anyway, and then step by step, well, I was working different places in the company, but I also wanted to have like a different experience, and I joined the perfume industry for some years, and that also was a good experience to me, because wine and perfume, although there are, of course, many things that are different, but they also have many things that are in common, all this emotional part, all this, it's all related to the senses, Anyway, after that, I came back to the family company, and then I took different roles. I decided to go also to Chile, where we have a winery there. I spent 3 years there with my family. It was a great time, yet it was also sometimes difficult, because we had a very difficult earthquake that happened in 2010. Half of our winery was destroyed, and was a very difficult situation. business side, but also personal for many people around Chile that were making their lives because of wine and vineyards. But well, we joined together, we rebuilt the winery, and we decided to continue on that side. And then this experience in Chile was also amazing because thanks to this earthquake, I could meet a lot of people in the countryside. We decided to recover the variety país, there. And then, well, my father called me and said, well, I'm in Spain, and maybe you should come back and you should help me. Well, I said, yes. So I came back, and then with all the team here, we started several projects, especially, like expanding more in the Priorat. I'm a great fan of the Priorat region. I was just this morning there. It's such a beautiful place and such a great energy. And also continuing with the philosophy of creating more single vineyards, to really look for these historical places where many people made wines before of us, and maybe they were a bit lost in the history, or maybe there was a period of time where they were not so known, and then we come back, we try to recover these roots, and we try to make wine again there. And that's what I love the most. Yeah.
You have said two things that I think it's very interesting. First of all, that human side of Familia Torres, when the earthquake happened in Chile, helping not just rebuild the winery, but also rebuild all the houses of the people that lose their houses. That's one of the sides that probably a lot of the viewers that we have here today doesn't know of Familia Torres, that has a foundation and it's very close to the people and to the customers. That's actually part of your DNA. But also there is another project that it's very interesting, and I would like you to talk a little bit more, because nowadays, every generation has been facing their issues, like the Civil War back in 1939 with your grandfather. The phylloxera was a big problem, obviously, but nowadays we're facing also a big issue, which is the climate change. And actually, Bodegas Torres is a winery that it's very sustainable, very focused on respecting the land and on trying to avoid also that climate change, making, like, as we say in Spain, el granito de arena, no? Your little drop into collaborating in order to reduce the CO2 and stop that climate change from happening. So can you tell us a little bit more about which are the projects that Familia Torres is doing? And also, if you can talk us a little bit more about the international wineries for the climate change, that will be great if you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, I have to say that in the family there has been always this sentence, this idea that my grandfather told us many years ago, that the more we care about the earth, the better are our wines. The more we care about the soils, the better are our wines. So he was the one that stopped using any pesticides or herbicides already more than 30 years ago. Then we really decided to put most of our vineyards in organic viticulture. Every time that the climate allows us to grow organic, we always do it. But it's true that in 2008, there was a moment. Actually, we went to watch a movie that is called An Inconvenience Truth. This movie about climate change, and then we realized, we start to understand why during the past years the harvests were coming a bit earlier, a bit sooner every single year. And then we realized that our future was in danger, because vines, the vineyards are so sensitive. You just change 2 or 3 degrees in the medium temperature and can make a total different wine, And we are a family company at the end, and what we want is the next generation to be able to make great wines, and we want to the winery even in better. We received it, so then we decided to embrace this fight against climate change, and we decided to work in different areas. On one side, to really cut our emissions. I think that a lot of people talk about sustainability, but very few people talk about the emissions, the carbon footprint. This is an indicator, this is like a figure that can really tell you if you are doing a good job a good job. No? For us, 2008 to now, we happen to reduce 30% our carbon footprint. It means working more and more with our own energy, solar energy, photovoltaic energy, biomass energy, geothermal too. This means also to work in order to isolate better the tanks, in order to reduce the energy that, the coldness or sometimes the heat that we need in certain moments in the winery. So trying to be more efficient in general, no? This is one thing, but the other thing is how are we going to grow vineyards in the future? Because the temperatures may increase maybe by 4 or 5 degrees at the end of this century. So how are we going to do it? So on that side, we are going to higher altitudes. For example, in the Priorat, I'm planting now the highest vineyard ever planted in the appellation, already at 750 meters high. I don't know if it's if the grapes are going to get ripe or not, or I have to wait there. But it's definitely a bet. We also have vineyards in the higher in the Pre-Pyrenees, so just in the footsteps of the Pyrenees mountains, which is already at 950 meters high. And also at the same time, we are trying to see what are we going to plant in the places where we are now. No? For example, here in the Penedès or in Rioja or other places. And for that, we have started a project that started already 30 years ago about recovering ancestral varieties, varieties that existed here hundreds of years ago, okay? And we have already recovered around 64 varieties, and we have seen that some of them have a great potential to deal with higher temperatures because we see that they ripe very late, they have a fantastic acidity. So to me, sometimes it kind of blows my mind is the thing that maybe the answer for the future, it comes from the past, no? And I'm pretty sure that we are going to be able to make really great wines with these varieties.
Yeah, we have here in the United States one of the wines that it's made with these ancestral grape varieties. Actually, it's the first one that was launched as monovarietal, the Forcada. Yeah. It's a spectacular wine. Every time I explain the wine to the people, I always say that it grows in high altitudes. And the most amazing thing is that it ripes very late, which that's one of the ways it can avoid a little bit that effect, as you were saying, from the climate change, where we see that the harvest, it's earlier year after year. A wine that I recommend to everyone to try because it's absolutely amazing. It's also very interesting to discover a little bit this project of the 5 generations. So the project of the ancestral grape varieties started already with your father, but you and your sister Mireia has been focusing a lot trying to recuperate these ancestral grapes. But it's also nice to see the passion you have for the land. No, Familia Torres, it's a fine wine producer that it's very attached to the land. I always say that at the end of the day, we still farmers. No, we produce grapes and we produce amazing wines, but we are very close to the land. So it's very interesting to see this attachment that you have with the land and to the stage. No, and I think that's a little bit the direction that we're going with this 5 generation. Maybe like trying to enhance more the terroir, the states. What do you think?
Yeah, is that when I look back, and I look how the vineyards were, 50 years ago, I realized that in general, the wine industry, they have been not looking to nature, as a whole thing, You have to think that in the past, we used to say that a vineyard was beautiful when there were just the vineyards there, and nothing else, no grass, no anything, and we realized what a big mistake was that, because at the end, vineyard, the vines are part of nature, so we are focusing every day on having an ecosystem on every single one of our single vineyards, and that means to increase the biodiversity, This is very, very important. To have rich soils that they have life, they also mean that they can capture better the carbon footprint. Okay, the only really solution that we have around the world in order to capture all this CO2 that is in the atmosphere is actually in the soil, right? If we happen to bring life to the soil, not to degenerate the soil as agriculture has done for many decades, no, with intensive agriculture, with a lot of chemistry. If we do the contrary, if we increase this life, if we make sure that there's always plants where there's always green, crops growing there, with a lot of biodiversity, insects, mammals, amphibians there. This allows the carbon to be captured under the soil with the roots of this plant. Okay, so we have a great opportunity if we bring life again into these soils, and this is what we have been doing here in Familia Torres for the past decades. And I can tell you something, it's really fantastic, and it affects to the quality of the wine. When you have a balanced vineyard, it is amazing. It reflects on the personality, and you don't have to do anything else in the winery. Just, make the fermentation, the wine on a natural basis comes beautifully. Yeah.
That's very, very nice to hear. Also, as you know, like we just started joining Wilson Daniels recently. I think it's a great partnership with, it started actually on October 1st between Wilson Daniels, one of the top importers in the United States and one of the top importers in the world, and also the Familia Torres. I think both companies are very aligned on that message, no? Focusing on fine wines, focusing on sustainability and organic, and obviously the family oriented. As I say, like Familia Torres, it's a family owned winery. And again, there is a sixth generation that probably will take maybe one day over the company.
We don't know that, huh? We hope that, huh?
I hope.
But so far, they are more interested in other things, But we'll see. I think that, when you live in a wine family, there's a certain point in your life where you may feel a certain call, well, at least that's what happened to me. You feel a certain call from the vineyards, no? You make a stop in your life, and then you realize that you belong there. They are still very young. Maybe this is going to happen to them. I don't know.
Which, by the way, a lot of people might not know, but your son, what's your names? What's the name of your son?
Well, you know that we're a very traditional family. He's also called Miguel. So
Miguel, but if I'm not wrong, it's Michael.
We call him Michael because my wife actually, she was born and raised in North Carolina. So we have this American connection that I love, because I happen to go very often to the United States, have a lot of friends there. I have a lot of anecdotes about that. I convinced my family to drink wine. They did not know much about wine before they met me. And anyway, they are great people. Absolutely.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. I know that 2020 has been a very challenging year for all of us. We see a lot of our friends in the restaurants and hotels struggling, but we want to know also how it has been for Familia Torres. How has been also the vintage 2020?
Mm-hmm. Well, this year is it has been difficult in many ways, no? First, of course, because of the COVID, and let me say, and all my support to all the restaurants, of the world, because, we are all in the same big family. It doesn't matter if it's a restaurant in the US or in Spain, they are all having a difficult time, and we're all having a difficult time. We sell, like a lot of our wines through restaurant. This is our growth in the past years, and it's difficult. It's difficult. Anyway, I'm optimistic, and I see that next year it can really be a change. There's a vaccine there coming, and I hope that this is much better. No? But anyway, this year has been difficult also on certain ways. It has been, we had to work very hard in the vineyard side, because especially in the springtime, there were quite a lot of rains. This is a vintage where we had to work hard, and where all the investments that we did in the past really had a lot of sense. We have a lot of selection procedures for the grapes. We also were very specific about every single thing that we did in the vineyard, in order that fungus like mildew, did not expand, and was under control. So it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, a lot of selection. But I can tell you something. During the past weeks, we have been trying the wines, and they're really, really showing with a very nice quality. And this is something that if we had not, if we did not have the professional teams that we have, the wineries that we have, it would have been a quite complicated winery. A quite complicated wine. But again, I'm very, very pleased with the quality this year. They have a great freshness, a great acidity, a great sense of fruit. They are wines that they are actually very clean on every sense, and we are very happy about that. This is one of these vintages where you are gonna see the wineries that work well and the wineries that maybe they don't work as well, and this is the reality about that. When you have a vintage that everything goes perfectly in the vineyard, it's more or less easy to make it work, right? When you have to work harder, then it's more challenging.
I guess you were glad that you didn't have to harvest this year as you used to do when you were younger, because as you say, it was a hard harvest.
Actually, I did the harvest too. I went to Mas de la Rosa, which is our vineyard in the Priorat, is my favorite vineyard maybe that we have. And I did harvest with the team there. I always like to escape, from the winery some days and just to go there. And it was spectacular, to harvest in the Priorat. It's very tough, because you have to be in a slope that has a lot of inclination. You have to be careful not to fall down, because if you fall down, you go down to the vineyard. But you have to be careful of your basket, because if the basket goes down with the grapes, you have to go after the basket. So it's hard, but it's a lot of fun. I really had a great time.
That's great. That's great to hear. So we just talked about 2020. We are almost done with 2020, and I think we are all ready to be done with 2020. But what is something that you're looking for 2021?
Well, for 2021, there are different things that are happening, and especially when I'm talking about the vineyard side, we are going to start having some of the first, grapes of this vineyard that we planted in the high Priorat at 750 meters high. So I'm really waiting to taste these grapes and to make the first wine. Although I know that the first vintage is never the best, the great, no, but it's also a start, no. And also here in the Penedès, we expand the vineyard of Forcada, and we went to a place also in high altitude where we recover these stone terraces that were built more or less 300 years ago. And this is going to be something very, very special to taste some of the grapes of this particular vineyard. And I just, aside of the vineyard side, what I hope in general is that there's a year of recovery, a year where we see more happiness, where we will have time to see the friends, to be with the family again, for the restaurants, for the people to go back to the restaurants, for the people to go back to the wineries to visit them. I think that it's going to be a year of celebration. I think that maybe this Christmas is going to be a bit harder, of course, but the next Christmas, I think is going to be awesome. All around the world, all the world is going to celebrate, because somehow the COVID, it was very tough, but we were all in the same boat, and we have never been so united somehow. And I think that this is also, it brought us something special too.
Yeah, that's very, very nice to hear. And also, you just mentioned about Christmas, and I saw before that you were having a glass of wine before we cut the connection. So, is this a wine that you will recommend for Christmas for this year? What are you drinking? What does Miguel drinks?
Well, I love my little red wine, this purgatory wine. This is a wine that I started in the vintage 2012. It comes from an appellation called Costés de Segre. It's probably the coolest area that we have in Catalonia. And it's made with Garnacha, with Cariñena, and with a little bit of Syrah, okay? And I love this wine. It's called Purgatory because this property, it belonged to the Benedictine monks many years ago, and they used to send the monks there, the monks that were not behaving well, you know, the monks that were not following the orders. They had to go there for a whole year to make wine, to make olive oil, and that's why they call it the purgatory. After 1 year, the monks could go back to the order, no, somehow. And I think that to drink this wine, especially on Christmas, to me, it's a way to, you know, to turn the page, no, to start again fresh and new, no, like, and it's beautiful. I like the fruit that it has. It's always had a very beautiful ripe fruit, but yet with this acid side that balance the wine fantastically. You can really feel the garnacha, this fruit of the garnacha, this tension of the carignana. It's a beautiful wine. Yeah.
I can see that in our audience there is like several fans of the Purgatory. There is a lot of heart that has been sending, and there actually was a question in the audience which I thought it was very interesting. So William was asking that we have 19 pagos in Spain, 19 vinos de pago, vino de finca, or single vineyard, official registered single vineyard, and he was asking non-empanades. So is Torres going to work through that direction also of certifying one of your single vineyards as a vino de pago?
Well, there has been different attempts of classifications. No, one was the vinos de pago. No, here in Catalonia we have this classification of the vi de finca. No, here in the Penedès we are working on our own classification. To be honest, no, because if you look at the history of the Penedès, most of the wines in the past they were making in the mas. No? The mas are the farmhouse, and it's a great history because families used to live in these houses and they were making wine there, and the vineyards were all the vineyards around these houses. No, so what a great, what a better way to respect the terroir than to live in the terroir. No? So the appellation Penedès is working on a classification that is going to talk about the vins de mas, no? About official vins de mas. Like, there's going to be a first vin de mas, and then other kind of classifications. I will be. I don't want to extend myself, no. But I believe that every one region should really have its own, respect its own history. No, here we are not Rioja. We are not Bordeaux. You know, we really have to understand the source of the quality wines that we had in the past and how we continue with this history. Yeah. So on that side, I hope that very soon that Mas La Plana will become a first Vie de Mas.
Yeah, I was going to say it has the perfect name for it, Mas La Plana, which actually, what it means, Mas La Plana, and who lives in Mas La Plana?
Well, Mas La Plana is the farmhouse, is the house of my parents. It's a very historic property. Goes back to the beginning of the 19th century. And I used to live there. I had a beautiful life there until they kicked me out, you know. But I actually live close by to all the family. We live in the vineyard side. We love to be very close to the winery and to the vineyards. And right now they are my parents there, living there. So every Sunday we join together on a lunch. It's fun. We open a lot of bottles of wine. Yeah, it's good.
I wish I had like a little camera and see which is the main course that it's going to be served on Sunday, and which is for sure the wine that you're going to taste, because obviously you like your wines, but I'm sure you're also very familiar with the portfolio of Wilson Daniels, with very known and very prestigious wineries. But great. Yeah, we will love to have a little camera there on next Sunday and see what's going on that table. Well, we had a great time today with you. I don't see any more questions, but if anyone in the audience has any questions, please feel free to bring it on. We have Miguel here, as you saw, like a very special person, very, very attached to the land and to the philosophy of the Familia Torres, taking care of the climate, taking care of the vineyards. And even if he says he doesn't know yet if the sixth generation will continue, I'm sure they will. I'm sure your son, Miguel, will also feel that call inside. And well, we are very close to Christmas. We know it's going to be a hard Christmas, as you say. But from my side, I just want to wish you and all the family Torres, all the members, Mireia, Ana, your father and your mother, and all your wife, Sara, and all your children, I want to wish you a very special Christmas, a very happy New Year, and hopefully we are going to have a better 2021, as you were saying. But we want to thank you today for being with us. Thank you very much for letting us know a little bit more of Familia Torres, about your projects and about you and the 5th generation. We're very, very excited to have you here. Today was our first Instagram live. I apologize again for the little issues that we had, the technical issues, but hopefully will be the first of a lot to come.
Marta, thank you very much. You are a person that I admire a lot too, because you have a great energy, and I've never seen somebody like you. And when you go into the market, it's really amazing. It's really fantastic. So well done, and we are very proud to work with Wilson Daniel. I think that as a family company, to bring the values of the family into the market, into the restaurants, into the wineries, I think that is fantastic. So we feel in very good hands, I have to say that. And well, I also would like to say that, best luck, let's all be, positive. Let's enjoy the wine. Let's drink more wine than ever, because we need it, right? And I hope that when all this thing is more calm down and over, I would like to all of you to come to Spain. This is a beautiful, beautiful place. So let's have a great toast and enjoy wines here in Spain too. Okay, so I'll see you very soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to have you here in the United States with us in 2021. And again, thank you. Moltes gràcies, Miquel, per estar amb nosaltres avui. And we will see each other very soon.
Take care.
Take care. Thank you, everyone that has been listening to us. Cheers to everyone. As Miguel said, let's have a glass of wine. Let's enjoy life, and let's celebrate that we are here and we have been able to enjoy that conversation. We'll see you soon. Petonet.
Salut. Vinga, vagi bé, molta sort. Adéu.